What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Chuggy from Shook Earth Media, and today we're doing something a little bit different for this channel. We're reviewing the new Star Trek Picard Season 3 premiere. It just came out on Paramount Plus, and for those who've been watching the channel for a long time, you might not know, I am in fact a huge Star Trek fan. I even got this little figure of Worf, my favorite character. It's been in the background of my videos this whole time. You could probably go back and see all my backlog videos with that in the background. I love Star Trek. Why haven't we been talking about it then? Why haven't I reviewed it at all? I hate new Star Trek is where I'm at with it. J.J. Abrams killed it, just like he killed Star Wars, in my opinion. I think this new breed of Star Trek has been dour, sour, it just down in the dumps. It's Starfleet is evil. Everything looks dark visually and in terms of themes. And all the characters, like Picard on the first season was on this apology tour, and he had to apologize for everything bad he did in the past, and Starfleet is evil, and it was just so contradictory to everything that made Star Trek Star Trek. We're focusing on visuals and just action scenes that are really dumb, when what made Star Trek was characters that we cared about, that were professionals, that were good at their jobs, struggling with problems and overcoming those problems, with different points of view all represented, and yet everybody comes together and works together to solve a problem, and there's usually some kind of moral, cultural dilemma. Getting a little bit too deep into why I see the new Star Trek is lacking in all of those elements, and it focuses on, just dumb popcorn movie stuff, which, is fine in and of itself, but not what I want from Star Trek. And the thing that offended me most about Picard Season 1 was the tone of how dark everything was. Starfleet's supposed to be the future, the ideal future realized. And that's what I want to see from Star Trek. I love Star Trek back in the day. It could be a liberal show without forcing its point of view on people. And now it seems like they're more interested in that part of things. So that's why I haven't talked about Star Trek on the channel. Because honestly, it hurt my soul to see what happened to Star Trek. So I've been avoiding it. And that's why I haven't reviewed it. That's why I haven't watched it. But I saw reviews from Dave Collin, Robert Meyer Burnett, and a couple other people who agree with my position on not liking new Star Trek, and they got review codes for this season early, and a lot of positive reviews from people who agree with my position on new Star Trek. So I had to check it out. They already kind of piqued my interest a little bit with bringing back all the cast members from Star Trek Next Generation, which is one of my favorite shows of all time. I rewatch it all the time. I used to watch it when I was doing cardio at the gym. I would always watch an episode of Star Trek, and that's how I knew I was doing cardio long enough. So anyways, that's my favorite show. So I'm really glad to see, we got everything down to the aesthetics. We're bringing back stuff from Next Generation. And I'm not fully caught up. I didn't watch Season 2 of Picard because Season 1 was so painful for me. I didn't even finish Season 1, I don't think. I know he's dead now, he's a robot, but there's going to be some nuances I'm not getting here because of things I'm missing. A certain character here that I didn't recognize or anything. But, of course, I think this is designed for fans like me who haven't tuned into the show for a while. I don't think you need to be completely 100% in tune with what's going on with Star Trek right now to appreciate this story, because spoiler alert, I like this episode. It's pretty okay. I don't have many major gripes with it. There's a few gripes that I have that are just holdovers from this new Star Trek aesthetic, but I'm loving the nostalgia already. Right off the bat, we got an interesting mystery that gets set up with one of my other favorite characters, Beverly Crusher. We get to see, this was our first sign that it was going to be her in this first scene. We got Jack Crusher, who was her husband, who was killed before the Next Generation series. So that bringing back a little bit of that history here, but we're thrown into a situation we have no idea what's going on. Maybe we know more in the lore that I don't remember, or in earlier seasons. I don't know. But we're here in this starship, and Beverly Crusher is different. She looks different, down to the hair, of course. They have her in a different outfit. She's not herself in this. She pulls out a gun which is something we don't really see in Star Trek too much, but they make points later that it's not a phaser. This is a new type of thing. She's being tracked by enemies, and there's even there was another human at the door of she closed the door, and there was a guy on the other side knocking. We get to meet that guy later. But I love that we set up that mystery. We don't know if that guy's a friend or a foe. We don't know who these people are that are here coming to get her. And she's shooting to kill, which is not something that Beverly we knew would do. So that's kind of like a red flag, like right off the bat. But honestly, I think, given the fact we haven't seen Beverly in so long, I like, and this whole episode's, the mystery is what happened to her. Who is she now? So we have to see a difference in her character. So something I would probably criticize is that she's not true to her original character here, but we're going to see the transition later on. Once we find out what happens, I'm sure we're going to find out why she's doing what she's doing. I'm sure it's going to make, maybe I'm not sure it's going to make sense, but I feel pretty confident here that they are not going to just make her a ruthless killer for no reason all of a sudden, like they did with so many others. But she got shot, she's injured, and usually with some of these fight scenes in Star Trek lately, I get a little bit bored with it, because the action scenes, they had action scenes in the original series. That's not what I'm here for as a sci-fi fan, but I like that we added, she comes up with a plan. She's got a clever plan. She shoots a pipe, and then that's a diversion. Smoke comes down. She uses that to her advantage. And I ultimately, I really like this mystery that we're setting up. Of course, we're going to have to see it pay off before I can fully endorse or not. But overall, I'm kind of impressed with it. And here, now we're back with Picard at his family's winery. And this is one aspect of his character that really bothered me in season 1. Is that he retired from Starfleet and now he's at he's at his winery again. I know we had an episode where after the Borg thing, he goes back to visit his family at the winery. But that, to me, the point of that episode was like, he's not the kind of guy who's going to be satisfied by a simple life. He's not a type to settle down. That's not who Picard is. He's always searching for that next adventure. I was very happy to see that they used that line of dialogue that I just said in the episode itself, Picard acknowledging that. And I like, the nostalgia of going through his old trinkets. And it's kind of something funny that in Star Trek Next Generation that you can always comment on is that, we're always talking about Star Trek. It's that vision of the future where humanity has solved all of its internal conflicts and now we're just exploring the galaxy. I love that vision. We get some things in this episode that go against that vision that kind of bother me. But one of the kind of contradictions in the original series that made Picard a likable character is, we're talking about possessions don't matter. We're in a post-scarcity world in Star Trek. And yet he's got all this collection of memorabilia. That's always been this kind of funny contradiction, right? So I think it's interesting. It makes him stand out that he doesn't necessarily represent the average person. He really is that adventurer type. And he's definitely very sentimental here. So I think this Romulan character was in the first season. I don't really remember, but I kind of like how they have that dynamic where there's like a mutual respect there, that she seems to look up to him, but still is respectful of his, but she still is respectful of him enough to say what she really thinks, and not just go along with what he said. So we get that the mystery planted. Beverly sent that message in the first scene. We're getting it received here. And, I think it's a little coincidental that, he just happened to be looking through all this stuff when this happened. So I don't know if we're going to have an explanation for why this whole Beverly situation is happening so close to Frontier Day. There's probably a good reason for it. If not, it's something, I always point out criticisms on, coincidences on this channel as a criticism. You guys know that. Something I keep coming back to on this channel. So there's a couple more of that in this episode. But I did like this scene here between Picard and, talking about their past relationship and how they tried to be lovers in the past. It didn't work out. that's something I've always really appreciated about the original series is the maturity when it came to the relationships on the show and how they were depicted. You know, Beverly and Jean-Luc was an on-off again thing. Same with Riker and Deanna. And we're getting that kind of complexity in this show too, which I like. So Will Riker, one of my favorite characters as well. And I gotta say, I really love this dynamic here with old Jean-Luc and Riker. I think that, you know, Jean-Luc doesn't have to have the same the professionalism that he had as Riker's boss and superior in the original series. So they're on more equal footing here. And as a result of that, you kind of get a more cantankerous version of Picard. And I think he's a little bit snarkier than he normally would have been. And I think it's an interesting dynamic. I love it. I think it's in character. I think it fits. And these two guys really great at playing off of each other. So in this scene too, we get the hint that maybe things aren't so well with Riker and Deanna Troi right now. Now I seem to remember they had a kid or something who was infected with this virus. I don't really remember all the details of season 1, but so there's probably some of that's probably going to come back here. But I really love the detail that Beverly made her message a cipher that only Will could understand, because she sent the message to Picard, but she knew that Picard could not decipher that message on his own because he was in the Borg when the cipher was used. So he wouldn't remember that. He wouldn't know that. He would have to get Riker. So it was Beverly's plan to get Jean-Luc to meet up with Riker again, and that they would come to meet her together. So I thought that was brilliant. Really subtle, nice little touch. I don't think that you would necessarily 100% notice that unless you're really paying attention. So I think that's really cool. And I like the reference to Guinan here too, and we got the Frontier Day decoration set up. I would have liked to see Guinan, but I'm sure Whoopi Goldberg is busy. But, you know, whatever. I would like to see her on the show again. I'm sure it's going to probably happen, right? But and then we cut to a different character from earlier in the Picard series. I don't remember this character's name, Rafi or something, I believe. I don't really know what's going on with this character, but she's investigating some secret quantum tunneling weapon, which I think is an interesting concept. And she's kind of in this seedy bar, criminal underworld type of thing, talking to this guy. And this guy is very not willing to answer her questions unless she gives him money. But even still, he's cagey about it. So she's learning about the Red Lady. There's something going on with the Red Lady. We don't know who that is. We don't have any context for the scene. I'm sure you guys, if you've seen prior seasons, you know about this character. I don't really know much about this character. But she pretended that she was no longer part of Starfleet and she needs to learn something to get back into Starfleet. But it turns out the whole time that she's working for Starfleet right now. So that to me is a bit obvious. Like, it's a bit on the nose if you're trying to sneak around. Like, I don't know. I guess it's reverse psychology, but if you bring up Starfleet, I'm just going to assume as somebody in the seedy underworld that you are Starfleet or that you're a narc or something. Like, I don't know why using Starfleet on this guy who probably doesn't want to interact with Starfleet is the right move, but I don't know. Let me know what you guys think down below. And before we get into the rest of the episode, if you guys definitely hit the thumbs up if you like this, if you comment down below your opinions on the show. I'm just trying to gauge the interest of my audience in Star Trek in general. Maybe if you guys really like this, I'll review more episodes in the future. I'm thinking right now I'll probably just do a season recap when it's all said and done. But if you guys want to see episode by episode breakdowns, I mean, I'm down. I'm down if you guys are. But now we're back with Will and Picard, and they are going to the Titan, which was a ship that Riker was the captain of, and its design is very similar to the Next Generation Enterprise D, of course. And I like that there's a bunch of jokes in here, like at the bar scene, we were making fun of the Enterprise D. Of course, they want us to have that design a ship for nostalgia reasons. This is the Next Generation nostalgia show, which I'm here for. That's what I wanted when I heard Star Trek Picard was going to exist. I was like, oh, maybe they'll just do a regular Star Trek show instead of this other crap they've got going on. Anyways, getting a little distracted. I gotta just say real quick that I really love the set design here. And the main reason is this. One of my big problems with modern Star Trek is, like I said earlier, how dark it is. And here we got an actually lit corridor that looks good. It's evenly lit. Why this bothers me so much is it's like, again, antithetical to Starfleet, because you wouldn't want to live in a place that was just dark all the time. They would have a day-night cycle to the lighting. They would want it to be well lit because it would keep people awake, alert. It would, keep people engaged in what they're doing. If you have the ship dark all the time, people might sleep on the job. People might, doze off. They might not see something that is a danger in the distance that they need to see. There's all sorts of reasons why you would light it up. And just aesthetically, it looks so much better. Like, I don't know why cinematography nowadays is just so dark. That's kind of the meta right now, and I'm not really digging it. This is an improvement, but most of this episode is pretty dark. But this is the type of lighting I would like to see. I don't really want the dark lighting anymore. But anyways, we got 7 and 9 on this ship, and I love seeing 7 and 9 again. Of course, she was in the show earlier, and we are now meeting Georgie LaForge's daughter, who is pretty cool. I like that little connection. We got and I like that she was awkwardly smiling at them at first. And I'm loving the jokes between Will and Jean-Luc. And I mean, a lot of the jokes, they boil down to, oh, we're old now. Oh, he doesn't know as much about Starfleet. He hasn't caught up to date. He doesn't know it's Deep Space 11, not 4. He doesn't know, oh, they changed their procedures. Certain things are automated. I think that those could be low-hanging fruit. And whereas the previous seasons of the show seem to almost have the opinion that Picard did something wrong, which to me, he embodies everything that a captain and a leader should be. He's strong and he's fierce, but he also will take the time to consider all different points of view. He won't dismiss you outright. He genuinely cares. He is a very, very charismatic, very empathetic person, and very intelligent, and just, I always agree with his decisions at the end of the day. I don't know, I always looked up to Picard. Picard is one of those characters to me, like somebody, I want to be like that guy. And that's why the show was so offensive to me before, when it was constantly like, oh, he's the sheer fucking hubris and all that. Like, I hated that. Because Picard was not that guy at all. He was not this arrogant guy that they're portraying him as. Now, we do have a bit of that energy in here. Those jokes that I'm mentioning, him being old. But I think it's all in the tone. The tone of it isn't that Picard is this bad guy and needs to be put down. The tone of it is him just looking for adventure and being older. So again, the tone is good. Just real quick, some of the CGI is a little spotty, but you know what? I decided I don't care if the CGI is good or not. I decided I don't care. It has very little bearing on whether or not I'm going to enjoy the show. I just wish they would go back to doing models. What's wrong with filming models? But anyways, I like these scenes here, and then we get to meet the captain, and he's kind of our first antagonist in the series, and I think that they nailed this scene. Now, there are some aspects where Starfleet is a little bit maybe evil. I mean, Beverly doesn't want Starfleet to be involved in coming to rescue her, so I'm a little concerned that they're keeping that energy with Starfleet being evil. But they're kind of getting that a little bit with this guy, but because he's the captain is right off the bat kind of insulting them. He's saying, talking about how all the next gen adventures were very reckless. And I mean, it's kind of funny, just like that's something that we've said as fans talking about the original next gen, that for a team that seems to always want to do things by the book, so many things go wrong so very often. So I can see making a joke about that. Again, earlier seasons of the show, making that same joke would have bothered me a little bit, but we're supposed to not like this character. You know, it's not like Picard has actually done anything wrong in this scene. So yeah, and Picard gives him a bottle of wine, and he insults him saying he prefers this other wine. And it goes on like that, and I think it's great. I think the captain knows, he susses out that they're here for something that isn't going to help him. I don't think he knows what that is yet. Maybe he does. Maybe he's in on it. But something tells me he's just distrustful of them in general. And I thought the scene was really good. And we need an antagonist in this first episode because, it's a long episode. It's exposition heavy. And it's very character focused. So you kind of want some conflict here. Now we have this lady Rafi in a futuristic cyberpunky city, looking at holograms of, I'm assuming, her daughter. I don't really know about this. I don't really care, to be honest. And here we got her talking to her, supposedly her Starfleet handler. Now I have my own theories that it's not actually somebody from Starfleet, but she's trying to figure out what the Red Lady is. And this is a scene where I feel like we could have done a little bit better in terms of like the investigation aspect. Maybe if she had somebody to play off of instead of just talking to herself or talking to a computer. It would have been cool if, she said maybe it's a ship, maybe it's this, maybe it's a target. I think it was a little quick to end up at that end point. It's a minor criticism at the end of the day, but I was thinking it could have been a mountain. It could have been a galaxy. The Red Lady could be a planet. There's a lot of things it could be that she didn't really speculate. So, I don't know. I just thought that was kind of just a little nitpicky thing, but it's definitely something to point out. And her handler seems to have all of these terrible things that she did in the past, and that she's addicted to drugs and was court-martialed and all these other things. And she says that the weapon, or that she's a warrior because the weapon that was stolen, it's an act of war and all of that. So that storyline, honestly, it just kind of feels like thrown in there. I'm sure we'll see why it's important later. And maybe if I knew the character and had some context for that, it would have made more sense. But again, I like this scene here. There's a lot of great comic relief in here, and that's why I'm hopeful about this season. The tone of it is so far upbeat and positive. The music is so good. It is really bringing back that revival of the Next Generation energy and that hope and optimism that I need to see. We don't get this on TV very much. It was absent at the time that Star Trek was created. That's why it was created. We need something optimistic that wasn't just post-nuclear sci-fi, because that's what was popular when Star Trek was being created. They needed something with hopeful optimism in it. And now in today's world, I see the hopeful optimism fading away on TV, perhaps worse than ever. And I'm definitely a guy, I love dark shows. I love Walking Dead, I love Breaking Bad. You guys already know this, but we need more than one type of show. And that's why I was upset with Star Trek becoming that dark show. And this episode is showing signs of peeling that back a little bit. And that's what I'm happy about. So I do like how Riker up here mentions, again, another we're old joke, saying this is like cadet days, except I have to pee a lot more. So there you go. It's jokes like that. But again, the captain's insulting them by putting them in bunk beds, despite the fact that it's an admiral. Here we got 7 and 9. Basically, we find out after this that she had already decided basically to disobey orders and give Jean-Luc and Will what they want. But she's demanding to know why. And it's an emotional scene. I think her performance, amazing. She's great. I think it's a little bit too much emotion too quick. Maybe. That's one other thing that bothered me about modern Star Trek, especially Discovery, was like everybody's crying all the time. And I get you want to add some interpersonal drama and conflict, but Starfleet is the best of the best. Starfleet is a military-ish operation. Starfleet does not tolerate emotional breakdowns very well. Or at least it shouldn't. It's a liability to have somebody in space who's get its emotional drop of the hat. That being said, it makes sense given the stakes of the situation that she's a little bit emotional. I just think it's a bit too much too fast, and if we got there a little bit later, it would have been a little bit more poignant, I think. But I did love the reveal that, we're already here. I like that reveal. It saves us some time. and gives them an opportunity to get the shuttle away before the captain wakes up. And the captain wakes up and he's already like, oh, your career's over. And then a bunch of people on the crew of the ship kind of turn around and look at him disapprovingly. So people don't like that he is at odds with Seven of Nine. And it seems like maybe he's not very well liked, generally speaking. Now, the only thing I will say is we have too many mutiny storylines. That was Discovery, and that was I believe it happened in Picard earlier as well. Starfleet, again, it's about working together, so I don't like to see too much of that. So I'm hoping it doesn't go in that direction, but maybe it will, maybe it won't. Another small thing, I'm just going to throw it in here. I prefer the show not to swear. Not that I'm a prude. I swear in my videos all the time. It's just not a Star Trek thing. So see, all these little ingredients that I didn't like in Star Trek all along, they're still here. But I think that there's enough new hopeful optimism that drags me to the like category instead of just rejecting this outright like I did with all other previous Star Trek things. And here we are discovering the Red Lady is a statue outside of I believe it's the ceremony for Frontier Day. So there's a terrorist attack with this tunneling weapon, and that's kind of a cool visual effect. I thought the CGI was okay. It wasn't amazing, but it was okay for TV, for sure. I really like this scene. Will, are you enjoying this? Yes, I love seeing them work together. So we get to the ship, and it's dark, and they're going through. This is a part where I'll give them the exception. This part can be dark. It makes sense for this part to be dark, okay? So they're investigating. I like that they can figure out what happened with the shootout, and they even acknowledge that this isn't the Beverly Crusher that we know, because she's shooting to kill here. So I'm assuming maybe she's not shooting at actual people. I don't know. Maybe they're not like organic. Maybe it's like, I don't know, synthetic or something. But we find her here, and then we get Will taken hostage by this guy who turns out to be a Beverly's son, or at least he claims to be. I don't know if that means he's supposed to be Wes, or if he's a different son that she had. I would have thought that Wesley would be a bit older at this point, and plus, has he been in the show older? I don't remember if he's been on Star Trek again since being a kid, but I like the actor. I forget I've seen him in before, but he's a great actor. And again, like, look at the designs of these ships. I love it. So Picard brought the bad guys directly to them, which that part was confusing to me because Beverly brought them here. So Beverly knew that they were going to come here. So, you know, her son acting all mad that like, oh, you guys brought them here. I mean, it was your mom that did that. But we get the big ship coming out of here, and it looks kind of like a Romulan ship, or I don't know. It looks familiar. I'm not exactly sure. I don't know. Some lore people are probably going to get mad at me. But and then I love these credits, dude. These credits was nostalgia, 10 out of 10. Like the effects of the ship, the screens, the way they all look, and the music, amazing. So that's my review of this episode. It's promising. I'm looking forward to seeing the rest. And, you know, maybe Star Trek is back. I don't know. Can Star Trek be good again? That's the question of the week. You probably saw that on the thumbnail. But anyways, with that, it's been your boy Shuggy. Like I said, if you guys enjoyed the Star Trek review, definitely let me know by leaving a like so that I can make more of these reviews. And with that, it's been your boy Shuggy. We'll see you guys back again with The Last of Us on Sunday. Thanks for watching, everybody. Peace out.